Internet. Oh, here we go. Okay, hold on. One more button. Hey, now we're live. Hey, what's up, America? Welcome to Get to Know the CEO. It's the show where we try to humanize corporate America through the magic and power of stupid questions. Today's co-CEO, ready to bare her soul to the American public, is Susan Griffin-Black, the co-CEO of EO Products. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy Monday morning.
Happy Monday morning. All right. Listen, well, usually the way this works is we go through the questions, the 5 questions of doom. And then at the end, we'll do a little plug for your business. But, you know, every other show talks about business, so can't do that. Instead, what we're going to talk about is the first question, your 3 favorite artists. And let me say, we talked about this a little before we went live. All 3 answers are brand new to this list. Everybody I've interviewed, nobody said these. And it's the first time that nepotism has gotten involved. So I want to applaud you. It's
Thank you for my Nepo babies.
Your Nepo babies made the list. Yeah, but they're legitimate Nepo babies because, all right, let's pull up the first one.
Okay.
Perhaps you've seen this young man before. This is your son, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark E. Basie.
Basie, yes.
Pretty legitimate, though. I did some research. 181,000 followers on YouTube, 172,000 followers on Instagram. I read some interviews with a nice young man. He seems to be living a life that I'm quite jealous of. So he's got that going for him. Mm-hmm. What? He also has a label, right?
Yeah, new gold medal.
New gold medal. So were you in favor of your kid getting into the music industry? It's tough making money off art, isn't it?
So tough. You know what happened was he was a freshman at UC Santa Cruz when I got the call, the mama, we're going on tour, you know. Oh. And that was his first band, the 2 a.m. Club. And two of the kids left Wash U. He and 2 left Santa Cruz. And I was a little bit like, just a teeny. I mean, I knew he had to do it and that's what he wanted to do. And I was at a fundraiser for our little Greenwood school here in Mill Valley. And Bobby Weir was playing Friend of the Devil to about 200 people for the 9 millionth time. And I looked around the room and I thought, everyone knew all the songs. Everybody was happy. It's like, if you can make a living and a livelihood playing music and being a musician, really nothing better. Brings people together like nothing else. So I dropped it, immediately, full support, supported him like we would have if he was in school, so that he didn't have to do work a silly job while he was trying to write. And so that went on for a year or 2, but no, he's self-sustaining and he's a new dad.
Oh, he's a new dad. Congratulations. And where is it? You just looked up. Where did he played where last night?
Minneapolis last night, Indianapolis tonight.
And I watched a video of his on Facebook where he was in London. Like he's doing it. He's made it. That's fucking crazy.
He's doing it. Yeah. Proud.
Yeah. I wish I had started a band or something. I'm not talented or anything, but the lifestyle looks great. He has those videos on Instagram where it's like him and he's hanging out with people and recording and shit. That looks like fun. It beats a 9-to-5 job. And here's the other thing too. Like people freak out about, oh, you're going to be an artist. Engineers get laid off all the time. There's no guarantee, despite whatever industry you think is safe, something awful like AI comes along and then you're jobless. So, pursue your thing.
Right with you.
Speaking of pursuing things, number 2. So this is your son, but you also have a niece that's in the band, the Army, the Navy. Is this right?
Yeah, that would be Sasha Goldberg and Maya. And they are on tour now with Dora Jar. They played at Brighton Hall in Boston last night. Oh. And my daughter does all of the creative and branding and for them. So she's sort of making her way too as an artist in LA.
I'm glad that your daughter's doing this, and I mean this in the nicest ways possible. But like, so I looked at their Instagrams. They have what I would call sort of a weirdo aesthetic that's very appealing. It sticks out, you know. I don't mean weirdo in a negative term. It's just like it's visually interesting, and all of their pictures are sort of like this, where it's it's just it's different.
Yeah, that's Lucy Black. Lucy Black, creative director. Yeah.
Like you plugging everybody in your family, and it only gets worse as we go on to the food.
I am. Yeah.
This is what I'll say too. So I listened to their Spotify station, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. Again, so normally this version of the question is your 5 desert island bands, but I had to shorten it because these go on forever. 2 of my desert island bands are Pink Floyd and Bon Iver, and I describe them as ethereal bullshit because it's sort of floaty. And listen, they're on my list. I don't mean bullshit negatively. I just mean it's very out there and floaty, and I think the Army and the Navy is pretty floaty. One of their songs, though, has a surprise saxophone, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, well, they're just making their way. They're signed right now to New Gold Medal, coincidentally,
Your son's record label. Yeah.
But they're on tour with Dora Jar right now. They're doing it.
Everyone's doing it. Oh, I should have tried. No, I should have had his talent. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that. So here I am doing a talk show from my basement. I do own a marketing company, though. That's something, although I don't get to go on tour to Minneapolis. Okay, so first time on the list for Mark E. Basie in the Army and the Navy. First time on the list for Snoop Dogg as well. So welcome, finally, Snoop.
Gotta love Snoop. Gotta love Snoop for all sorts of reasons. My main reason, though, is I live very close to the little local music venue, Sweetwater Music Hall. And he was there a couple of years ago. And it was the best musical event ever. The happiest room. You know how the Dead, I went from like a meditation retreat to a Dead show. It was seamless. Wow. Seamless.
I'm
this
sure.
This
not
is
so seamless.
No, this was just the best. All ages, everybody together, packed in, everybody happy.
Snoop does appeal to all ages. Somebody said about him, I think it was comedian. They were like, Snoop is your favorite aunt's favorite rapper. Like everybody, like he's just transcended. I think the Martha Stewart thing too. My relationship with Snoop is odd. It makes me, so I talk about music a lot because one of these questions has to do with music. And like I said off screen, everybody picks the Beatles. And part of the reason I would say, like, I appreciate the Beatles. I know they're great. I'm not saying they're not. But my standard line with why I don't worship them is I just don't find them to be relatable to me. Like I Want to Hold Your Hand doesn't speak to my soul or anything. I know that's one of 8 billion songs. But then I start to think what does relate to me. And The Chronic and Doggy Style came out at about 1993. I was 12 years old. I was certainly not living in Compton, but for some reason that I was like, oh shit, this is unbelievable. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the Beatles are unrelatable to me. You know who is? Snoop and Dr. Dre. But I don't know. It feels like a time and place.
Yeah. Cultural moment. For sure.
It was a cultural moment. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And he did the thing that Eddie Murphy and Ice Cube did, which they came from this very aggressive, raw, sort of offensive mentality. Like they didn't give a fuck. Then they transitioned to where everybody loves them. Eddie Murphy started doing kids movies. Ice Cube he's in a bunch of kids movies. Snoop, that guy has a murder charge, and now everyone loves Snoop. So I think the way to make billions of dollars in Hollywood is be out of your mind aggressive and then slowly back off until you're universally beloved.
Here we go. And he
is. That's the advice I give to. Do you celebrate his newer work? Because I'm frozen in time with Snoop. I just need, if you could just play Doggy Style, perfect.
Yeah, but I'm with you on that. Just because I don't, it's sort of just a different era, and I don't follow as well and as much. But
no, but he had a frozen in time cultural moment. Oh my God, I loved it so much. The time period between 1990 and 1995 gave us so many great movies, so many great TV shows, so much great music. Nobody ever talks about that as the golden age of entertainment, but I think it is.
There were some golden years there for sure.
Oh my God, unbelievable. All right. Well, speaking of golden things, let's move on to your top 3 movies. When Harry Met Sally, obviously, okay, it's a romantic comedy that came out in 1988. but I find it to be
You-
best in class. Like the greatest. Here's my theory on this. The greatest hot dog is still unbelievable cuisine. You know, like the greatest of anything is because we go, I only eat at Michelin-starred restaurants. No, you'll eat the world's greatest hot dog and you'll like it. I think this is the greatest romantic comedy that's ever existed. And by that definition, I think everybody would enjoy it if they watched it.
Agree. I think this was like the OG romantic comedy, right? This sort of started, I mean, of course, many came before, but this was quintessential.
Of the modern era romantic comedies, I would say so. I'm sure there was
Yeah.
like in 1950, they did some goofy stuff that we can't relate to, but I think this like sort of, so I watched the Siskel and Ebert review of this. Ebert
Yeah.
couldn't get over that he sort of said it was like a knockoff Annie Hall, whereas Ebert was a big fan. I sort of get that, but I think this, I would rather watch this. Plus, this was directed by Rob Reiner. And people should give this man his due because he did Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, and When Harry Met Sally. That is hit after hit after hit.
I just watched him on If You're Not in the Obit.
Oh yeah. With Mel Brooks. Yeah, it was good.
Have Breakfast. That was a great documentary.
It is a great documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
inspirational.
Thanks for bringing that up because those are very old people that they're talking to. But I looked this up. Billy Crystal is 76 and Meg Ryan is 62. This freaks me out now when I do the research on how old people are. The people that I used to watch, like this came out like it was on TV. It was in the movies. I was alive, and now the star is 76. It's horrifying.
I know. Jane Fonda, 86.
Oh my God. We are right next to death, every one of us. I love Billy Crystal too, because I own City Slickers on VHS and I must have watched it, 8 billion times. And the other guy that's in City Slickers is also in When Harry Met Sally, which is, Billy Crystal used to crush in the 80s. He was so goddamn funny.
Still. Yeah, he is.
And did you know this was written by Nora Ephron? Doesn't she?
I did.
She pumps out like 10,000 novels. That's the same person, right? That the author.
Yeah. She passed a bit ago, but Nora Ephron, Nancy Myers, they were also, besides their brilliance, they were some of the first women, who are really notable in this world. So, in the sitcom world and in the making movies and heroines very identifiable.
Good point. The other thing too is I feel like this movie it's almost like a band that has a lot of good songs, but the American public only they fucking grasp onto one thing because the orgasm scene in this movie is too big. You know what I mean? It's like that's what it's known for, but it's so much more than the orgasm scene. Don't you think?
Yeah. No, right. You know who's the one the woman who said I'll have what she's having is I think Rob Reiner's mom.
Oh, look at that. What a nice Rob Reiner getting everybody involved. This also has some odd symmetry on Rotten Tomatoes because it has 89% from the critics and 89% from the audience. I don't know what 11% of these people, who they are, who doesn't like this.
Right.
What more do you want? It's a romantic comedy where there's not enough car chase scenes. There's not enough death. It's a perfect example of the genre. You can't please anybody. Okay. Want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Something's gotta give. I haven't seen this, but I did do a little bit of research. I watched the trailer, and what I love is that in the first line of the trailer is Jack Nicholson says, "The sweet, uncomplicated satisfaction of the younger woman." That's that made me think because it's one of those things where I was like, man, if I get old, it's gonna be tough to date young chicks because what are you gonna talk about? And then I realized he doesn't want to talk. He just, So
yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
he's got to do, he's very clear about his agenda, I think. Yeah.
Which he can be because I believe he owns a record label in this movie. So that he has a
he owns a rap record.
Oh, he owns a rap record. Okay, so that's very convenient. I did laugh during the trailer. It looks pretty funny. The doctor is played by Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Right. So the premise is he's dating a 31-year-old or something. Diane Keaton's his mother. Yes. So Diane Keaton's daughter. They have sex. He goes to the hospital, and then
well, they start down the path, and then he has a heart attack, and then Diane Keaton has to, step in and order everyone around, gives them CPR, and and he lives, and and the rest you have to watch the movie.
Yeah, but as he's post heart attack or whatever he has. Keanu Reeves is the doctor, and he comes out to talk to the girlfriend who's 31, whoever, Amanda Peet, I think. And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, your father's gonna be okay." And she's like, "It's not my father." He goes, "Don't worry, your grandfather's gonna be okay." It's a funny fucking line.
It was good. It was great.
That's Jack Nicholson is a charming fella, I gotta tell you. But here's the creepy thing, though. I mean, I know that's what the movie is about, but I looked this up. At the time of filming, he was 66, and Amanda Peet was 31. 34 years. That's a long. I know it's normal in Hollywood. DiCaprio does it. Everybody does it. But 34 years is a lot.
Can't imagine just trying to make that shift. But what would Cher do?
I often ask myself that very same question.
I used to use that as a guideline back in the day.
What would Cher do? Yeah.
What would Cher do? Yeah.
That would make a good tattoo. The other, it's okay. I know the age gap gets less creepy as you go on, but under this logic, my next wife is 8 years old. That's the gap. You know what I mean? Like that is gigantic.
Maybe you then use the French, recipe for mistresses and well, this is a very male sort of, misogynist concept of half your age plus 7, right? Which is what?
Half my age plus 7, 43. That's going to be tough because it's an odd number. I don't know, 25. Is that about right?
Your age, 42, 21, 7, late 20s.
Here, okay. This is, I think, this is a bigger societal problem.
Not that I'm recommending.
No, it's too late now. I'm going to tell my wife later. My guest told me I need a 29-year-old mistress. I'm sure she'll understand. But I think this is the problem. These, I've said this on the show a million times by now. These last 100 years have been absolutely batshit crazy in terms of technology, the way people live. Generation gaps so humans have been around for 300,000 years. The generation gap didn't exist until the last 200 because 100,000 years ago, if you were a farmer, your father was a farmer, your kid was a farmer, the same technology existed. Then all of a sudden we have quantum leaps in technology. Now, the way I grew up and the way you grow up is totally different than the way your kids grew up and my kids grew up. Like, we are just different animals. So a 29-year-old never owned a CD. What the fuck are we going to talk about? I will make references to things that she will have never heard of and never will. That wasn't the case.
No, it's true. Things were a lot slower. Now it's like, and but remember that someone was posting a photo. You might not even really remember this, but it was a tape cassette and a pencil, and it's like, if you know what this, if
line it up,
can identify, if you can identify these two objects, you old. That's what
My brothers are 16 years younger than me, and we have a thing on Instagram, like a chat, and they sent NFL players. They got a bunch of NFL players, and they were showing them VHS cassettes and a floppy disk. And listen, they're like 22 and 23, but they had no idea what they were looking at. I just don't. And, that's going to be more and more tropey as the years go on. But in 10 years, the things that we have in front of us, people are like, I don't know what that is. That's stupid. It's strange.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is, if I date a 29-year-old, I don't know. Okay, once again, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it wouldn't be for the point of talking anyway. So I don't know what the answer is. 87 and 84%. 87 critic score, 84%. No, that's the next movie. This was 76 and 62. So a little less. But I mean, again, what do you want from a kind of movie like this? It's not a period piece. It's a lighthearted romp.
Yeah.
With Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, but these two, are sort of finding connection later in life, and they're about the same age. They're in their 60s. So this was sort of a first to really represent a woman with her own identity in life, and so who had a beautiful house in the Hamptons, apartment in New York. She was role modelish. So
yeah. She was also accomplished, unlike the girls that he went after from the rap label, right?
Correct. Yeah. And pretty chill. Yeah.
Do they end up together? They do. Okay. Well, it's nice. I feel like you can spoil a movie that's 30 years old. If you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, right. That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, it's okay. Now, this next one, okay, I did make the connection that all three of your movies are very relationship based, which is,
Yes.
interesting. I don't know if that was purposeful. The Unbearable Lightness of Being. This is a very erotic movie that has a lot to do with politics, which is an odd bedfellows, if you will. But I did watch the Siskel and Ebert review of this, and man,
Ah,
this is another generation gap thing because those two guys are not exactly attractive, but they were talking about how much they enjoyed the erotic scenes in the movie. So I don't know. Siskel and Ebert getting a
you
little
know,
erotic with each other on the show,
I
which is nice.
think, I read it. I read the book and then saw the movie, and the book was really beautifully written. It was, and I think it was Milan Kundera, and it was his first. And there was something about the setting, the rhythm, the characters, everything about it was sensual,
Hmm.
not so sexual. Yeah, there was, but it was just so beautifully shot.
Uh-oh, I lost your audio. Are you still with me? Oh no.
That just sort of, yeah.
There you go. Okay, you're back. Sorry. Can
Thank you.
you say what you just said? The last
I'm
like
sorry. I'm
30
sorry. I
seconds.
thought it was. I had my phone on airplane mode.
Okay.
Sorry. I said, you know, I read where. Sorry, where do I go from?
Less erotic, more
Oh,
something. Where you going?
less erotic and just sensual,
Hmm.
and just felt the certain presence. You could really tap in to the story and the characters.
The review, one of them said it was there hadn't been a movie made like this since Last Tango in Paris. So I think they were going for high-minded eroticism, which is,
Hmm.
that's nice.
Yeah.
I'll say this though, the movies that are made in the war backdrop, because this involves the Russian invasion of Prague, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
That freaks me out. Just I must have in a previous life I must have been murdered by an invading army. Then,
Hmm.
because generally speaking, I'm against how much the American military budget is. It's 841 billion. But then when I see like, oh, somebody could invade us and then I might die on any given Tuesday, I'm like, no, 841 billion is not enough. Whatever it takes to keep people. This guy just wants to bang a couple of chicks and not be murdered by the Russians, but he has to. It's a whole thing. So I guess my point is, it gives me existential dread, and then I'm like, we need more warships. That's what this movie brings me to.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
when it's like he's just trying to do brain surgery and have a couple of affairs, and he has to deal with the Russian army. I think that's a lot to ask.
Right at his back, so yes. No, stressful.
It's very stressful.
Poignant, meaningful. It's all that.
Yeah, it's for him. But then think about like the people that work at Walmart. They got to deal with this shit too, and they're not having affairs with beautiful women. It's just tough. Just don't. Just whatever it takes to keep the Russians at bay, I guess is my point.
With you.
I did read in one of the reviews that the author was so offended by the movie that he did not allow any other of his books to be turned into movies. So he didn't like it.
Wow, no, I never knew that.
You cannot please everybody. But again, 87% critic score, 84% audience score. So everybody else liked it for the most part, except for the author.
Well, I like when the critics and the audience are sort of
Are
close
close.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you feel like it's legitimate.
It's
Nobody
legit.
has any. There's no axe to grind on either side. Everyone's like, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. This is like, yeah, B plus. B plus is good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to literature now.
Okay.
So I believe this general theme, because I know this. I read in an interview about your son. He has a beginner's mind tattoo.
He does.
Look at this deep dive. So this book hey, that's the kind of research we do here at Offensively Creative Headquarters. So this obviously speaks to you and your son. What is this? What is this book about?
So someone gave me this book, and I think I was 27, and I read it, and I had taken a couple of Eastern Studies courses, back in the day. Took like the first Women's Studies course at Penn State, and one of the first in the country, I think in the 70s, 73, 4, something like that. And Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind came a few years after college, and I was so interested and so fascinated. And I also already lived in San Francisco and realized that how much access I had to, the author of this book started the San Francisco Zen Center. And so there are 3 practice places in Northern California. So I had the opportunity to really start studying and exploring in the late 80s. And it's really, I say I was, like a good pair of black boots. Zen Buddhism really just pulled me in, and I'm still studying.
And this was the book. This was ground zero.
A lot of years of practice, yeah.
According to ChatGPT, the book is a collection of teachings that focus on the concept of approaching life with a beginner's mind, a state of openness, curiosity, and freedom from preconceptions. Suzuki emphasizes the importance of practice in Zen and mindfulness, offering guidance on zazen, seated meditation, and how to incorporate Zen principles into everyday life. So it does sound like a decent starter book if you're going to get into meditation.
Yes, highly recommended. Yes.
I think I'm a nihilist, though. So, I mean, I don't know that I'm going to do it necessarily, but I will say that I used to float in sensory deprivation tanks, which they say gets you into like theta wave meditation, which is some deep monk shit. And I liked that a lot. I just, I also really like drinking and caffeine and everything that the Buddhists would probably, not shaving my head or living in the mountains. It's, I just figure I should go all in if I'm going to do it. And I'm not. So I might as well just keep on doing what I'm doing, which is nothing.
If you liked sensory deprivation tank, which I also really liked.
Oh, so good.
So good. Like 100 years ago when I lived in New York, and before I moved to San Francisco, I scratched my cornea while I was sleeping. And it was I don't know, and I went to this eye doctor and she said, "What don't you want to see?" Like a Park Avenue crazy eye doctor. And I was like vacillating between moving to San Francisco and not. And then I went to the tank. I think it was like East West. It was downtown in New York, like on the 5th floor of a building, and the East West Center. And I floated, and I decided I was moving to California.
Oh, post float. Look at that.
Post float, baby. And I have found those flotation tanks, as I've gone from place to place.
It's really unbelievable. The first time I floated after I got out, like wind hit me in the parking lot. I almost cried. I was like, I've never felt wind before. It was very emotional. I mean, like, everything was very emotional for some reason.
I know, but that's what it does when you settle and you see, what your thoughts are and how it connects in a different way than when we're always, moving.
Oh, it's a totally different way of experiencing life. And this is sort of, so when I was floating a lot, I would tell people about it. And their first question, how amazing you feel and whatever, you sort of view life differently. And they were like, well, how long does it last? And I was like, I don't know, a couple hours, but that's not, you're missing the point. Once you feel what life can feel like, then life can feel that way. So it's like a higher plane of existence. It's like, listen, I have a very casual drug habit, like mostly mushrooms, but this is a natural way to get this unbelievable high. And all it is floating in body temperature water that's heavily salted. So you float. It's without stimulation, your brain does some wild things. And so the experience in the tank is crazy, but then out of the tank, it lasts a while, and how great life can feel. So why everybody doesn't do this, I don't know.
It's kind of like Buddhism and meditation, if you ask me. Same.
Yeah, good point. All right, fine, I'll meditate. Okay, next book. Is this the right one?
Yes.
Okay, well, this is interesting because I was wondering why you would pick this, but then the synopsis was facing destitution after the untimely death of her husband. Not that I know that existed, but Madame Metier revisits a long forgotten talent, the creation of healing botanical creams and lotions, which is kind of what you do, right?
It
little
is.
Yeah.
It is.
And then, yes.
No,
go ahead. Well, I was just, the second sentence is, her rediscovery of the sacred practice marks the beginning of her spiritual odyssey of self-actualization and empowerment. Seems on brand.
Yeah. So we can say no more, or I can tell you that Daphne Rose Kingma has written some brilliant books. I had the privilege of doing a workshop with her years ago at Esalen. And I took this, my daughter went to school in Paris, and so I was there, visiting. My daughter was there for a few years going to art school. And this book was written in Paris and I read it in Paris. I had no
Ooh.
idea before I picked it up. But Daphne Rose Kingma is brilliant about love and relationships and life. Just overall, just a wonderful person.
Written in Paris, read in Paris. Doesn't get much better than that. Hey, what's up, Gabe? How are you? So this, I couldn't find a lot about this book. As a matter of fact, ChatGPT had never read it.
They have now. They will now, right?
They will now. Yes, I'm feeding it all the information it needs. But it got very positive reviews in Amazon out of many reviews. So
highly recommend.
Is this the? I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's talk about the next one, Gabe, and then you can decide. This feels more like what people normally say, which is Growing a Business by Paul Hawken. Again, the synopsis here, he believes in sustainable growth, customer focus, creativity and flexibility, and value-driven leadership. Those all sound like things we can get behind, don't they?
Absolutely. I read this book in 1987, and it just informed and it helped us with the question of building a company that we would want to work for.
Nice.
And it gave us permission, a lot of permission, because the examples that he used were doing that as well. And, in terms of standing on the shoulders of, holding hands with, however it is, the community of businesses that actually thought about going to work and bringing your whole self to work, and what the exchange is about, reciprocity in relationship, and just sort of setting a new bar about more integrated business, like business as if people mattered, and so that book, I mean that's why it was made into a PBS series, and why it was printed in it's easy to read, it's very accessible, and it really spoke to me, still does.
And he's still pretty active. He's like a sort of self-helpy, which I don't mean this in a negative way, but he's out there. He's even at his age, I saw a lot of YouTube videos. He's doing talks. So he's large. It's not just business. He's sort of the whole person, right?
No, yeah. He is so great. I had a tea with him a couple of weeks ago. He lives in Mill Valley. He's been a mentor and a friend for a long time. And yes, he's, very much a part of the early environmental movement, and just helping all of us try to make sense of things in the best way,
Things are hard to make sense of. So Gabe said he thinks Paris makes me choke up. It might have brought back old memories. I'll say this, Gabe. I know you're being facetious, but I lived 3 years in Belgium, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. 7th grade, French-speaking Belgium, by the way, not Flemish Belgium. 7th grade, one of the best years of my life. It was very popular. I had a girlfriend, best friend. It was great. We used to go to the local grocery store because there was no age. They didn't check your age, so we used to get drunk on wine in 7th grade. They used to fry eggs on pizza. It was like Belgium was the aesthetic. Everything was gorgeous. So I wouldn't say Paris necessarily means that I don't get choked up about Paris, but another French country does it for me.
A little choked up about Belgium. I can see that.
A little choked up about Belgium. It's just 7th grade. You got to peak sometime. All right, let's go to your death row meal. This is a very classy meal you put together, I got to tell you. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
You're starting off with oysters. Now, I used to shuck oysters, so this is going to get me teared up a little too, because I used to bleed every time I went to work. You stab yourself a lot. I know, terrible. Yeah. But oysters, delightful. Do you go mignonette, cocktail sauce, horseradish, lemon? Do you celebrate the entire dipping sauce? What are we doing?
Yeah, not such a horseradish person for oysters, but mignonette for sure.
Oh, that mignonette.
Small oysters, Kumamotos,
so unbelievable, good. Right? The mignonette too, I feel it's great on oysters. I think we just need to introduce it to other things. Like that is that as a dipping sauce, the shallots and the vinegar. Oh, it's so good.
It is simple and beautiful. Yes.
It is simple and beautiful. Agreed. All right. So your oysters, very classy. And then you're going to go even classier than that. You're going caviar. Man, this is a hell of a meal.
Isn't it? I mean, just a little bit, like, no excess there.
Yep.
Blini, potato chip,
Yep.
whatever you got.
It's simple and elegant, I would say.
Yeah.
Starting the meal off very simple, but very expensive too. This is going to cost, if it's the state that's murdering you, it's going to cost the state a lot of money. But what are you going to do? We spend $841 billion on defense. We can afford some caviar.
Yeah, just sneak in a little. Yeah.
All right, oysters, caviar, the classiest opening to a death row meal I've ever seen. Then you're going on to broccolini, which is, I think, broccolini.
Go figure.
Yeah, it's but like you need some greens, so you're working in two in this sense. But how do you like the broccolini prepared? Simply?
Yes, very. Just sort of either, stir fried ish with olive oil and a little garlic and lemon. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's hard to fuck up anything.
Delicious and nutritious,
Exactly, which is what you want right before you die.
Yeah.
Broccolini. I don't know how old broccolini is, but I feel like it came to me too late in life. Like I was just, broccoli's great. And then, look at this shit. It's longer.
It's broccolini.
Yes. I want the broccolini version of every vegetable. Yes. Where's the broccolini cauliflower? I think there's something.
You got a point there. Yeah.
I don't know. Here, Gabe, I got to tell you, I know nothing about caviar. You know what I like? Whopper Juniors with cheese. So I did the best I could.
No.
I just picked the prettiest looking caviar. And then, so you went with, the other thing is all salads. I don't know if that was, I went with a very salady salad. I was like, let me get something that represents a lot of things that might be in a salad.
No, that's good. That's like very, very well arranged.
It's very well arranged.
Pre-tossed, and then beautiful.
Yeah. And if you're into beans, you got some there. It looks like you got some cheese, and that's where you're going. But it also has all the traditional elements of a salad. So I figure whatever kind of salad you want is kind of represented here.
In there. Yeah, no, true.
I don't see a lot of feta or anything, but I know
great job.
But
yeah,
very clean. You're gonna feel good after these four, I think.
Yes.
Not heavy. You're not being weighed down. A lot of people go loaded baked potatoes. A lot of people go French fries, certainly, but you have gone very Californian, I would suggest.
Yeah, we're going out light. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right. Well, you go a little heavier in the second one. So you went with I don't know what the name. What is the name of the restaurant?
Oh, Tamalpais Pizza, because of Mount Tam. That's my two younger sisters are both in the restaurant business. So Tamalpais Pizza in Mill Valley.
And I believe I don't know if that's the crust, but that is a picture of Tamalpais margarita, according to
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, and gluten-free.
Gluten-free. You can't have any gluten. Broccolini does suck. Remember the fascist broccolini?
Yes.
Yeah. And he did a lot of bad things, but he came up with a slender version of broccoli. So
married to margarita.
Yeah.
Yes.
Classic pairing. All right. So you're doing a nice gluten-free. I don't think I've ever had gluten-free pizza. I celebrate gluten. I get extra gluten.
Yes. Well, you can have mine, but I say gluten-free crust is, it's a gift, man.
We have come a long way.
It's really good. Yeah.
I was a vegetarian. I was a pescatarian for 5 years, and fake sausage and fake fried chicken, like chicken patties. That I'm sure that technology is good. That tastes legit, like close to sausage, close to chicken patties. But if you were a vegetarian in the 60s, you didn't have that shit. I'm just saying, you were gluten-free in the 60s. Not a good time. Hard. But now they're coming up with more and more things.
Yes.
Your second one, Hazel's Kitchen, number 14, veggie melt. I'm not sure this is the exact one. This is definitely a melted sandwich from their Instagram page. It looked vaguely veggie-y, and I looked up the ingredients. It's like balsamic onions, goat cheese, some other shit. Sounds great.
It's so beautiful. Now, it's not gluten-free, so I haven't had many lately, but I can always just eat the insides.
You're telling me Hazel's Kitchen doesn't have a gluten-free bread? Who do we got to call? Doesn't your sister run the place? What are we doing here?
She does, but she can't find the gluten-free bread that she likes. So she's
holding off for quality.
She's on it. Yes.
I respect her for that. Yeah, don't settle until they make it the perfect gluten-free bread that's going to work in this melt.
Not having it.
All right, so you have gone a little heavier here, but then you're going classy with the beverages. This is on par, I think, with oysters and caviar. This is a family vineyard with the Pinot Noir.
Yes, my pops and my plus mom Maggie, they've been together for about 50 years. Started Windward Vineyard early on in Paso Robles before the movie Sideways, and it's still going.
Nice.
Just small, only Pinot Noir, and yeah, still
Pinot
making
Noir
it happen.
Do you celebrate what else do they make?
No, that's it.
That's it. Just the Pinot Noir. Whoa, that is specialized. That's like Five Guys. I like that.
I know.
I like specialization.
Yes.
I think it's time to get over that. Here's okay.
Let that go.
Let that go. This is why, you know how Tom Cruise hates therapy, right? Well, remember that? He like jumped on Oprah's couch and was railing about therapy. I know it has to do with this weirdo Scientology. Part of the problem with therapy is you just keep talking about the same problems over and over. You never fucking get over it. Gabe, at some point, you're going to have to get over this relationship. And don't let it cost you margarita pizzas because they're one of the finer pizzas. Plus, if you go to Italy, they don't have stuffed crust meat lovers. You're going to have something like this. Okay. After the Pinot Noir or before you go in Champagne, you didn't specify, but Champagne is, oh boy, that is, classic.
It's just like happiness in a little glass.
It is.
Yeah.
And it sneaks up on you too, because, well, part of it, I think, is that I mostly drink champagne in mimosas. And in the morning, I think you can just get drunker faster. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because I'm drinking 2 bottles of champagne. But yes, it's light, effervescent. It feels classy. If you get drunk on champagne, it feels better than Miller Lite somehow. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is. It's like a better high, you know?
It is a better high. It's a classier high.
Yeah.
That is, how did you know? So if you go to a Belgian grocery store, get yourself some Windward Pinot Noir, drink with your girlfriend at the playground. Oh my God. You too will get wispy when they talk about Paris.
That's
all
right.
Now we have dessert. Bear with me. Here it is. Is this Strauss Family Creamery Organic? That's the right one?
Wow, you are good. Yeah.
That's what she said. So I don't know if they have this out on the East Coast. I don't think I've ever seen it, but you seem to have fine tastes. So this is a good ice cream.
The best. These guys have been around for like 30 years. They're sort of the OG organic dairy in this beautiful part of Northern California, and, about an hour from here. And they make great products because they have happy cows.
I'm sure they do. This is the thing about California too. California seems to be ground zero for things the right attacks. Like, oh, California sucks, blah, blah, blah. First of all, it's the 4th largest economy in the world by itself. And if anybody says this thing came from California, you just assume it's good. If there's ice cream that comes from Northern California, you go, oh, that's disgusting. Like if you heard there was, oh, this is ice cream from Alabama. You go, well, that can't possibly be good. But if you hear ice cream from California, like, oh, well, that's going to be delicious. There's going to be a bunch of hippies that really care about their cows and the shit they put in them. And the product's going to be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, America. And then you go on creme brulee, which is, again, a very classy dessert.
There's something about that brown sugar, caramelized sugar topping with the custard.
Yeah. Oh, the cracking it. I know.
Yeah. So good.
It's a little bit like the album Doggy Style in that it's an event. Once you order creme brulee, it's an experience.
Yes.
They burnt the top with fire. You get to crack it with a spoon. It's pure sugar, so it's going to taste good. I don't know. I think creme brulee is underrepresented on the dessert menu across the United States.
Agree. I'd have to agree. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. All right. Yeah. The next and final question.
Wait, and no gluten. No gluten.
Oh, gluten-free. The bean in the middle is gluten-free.
How about that, my friend? Yeah.
All right. Any kind of organic ice cream with lots of chocolate sauce and whipped cream. And don't forget the cherry on top. Oh yeah. Somebody in another show they did not want a cherry on top of the thing. And listen, I'm not here to judge, but how are you gonna fucking have an ice cream sundae without a cherry on top? That's a saying. The cherry on top. The cherry on top it has to be there. Ugh. People these days.
I know, but I could go that way too, because those maraschino cherries, man, with all that red dye, number 6 and 5, and
one of the I'm a soccer father now.
Yeah.
One of the mothers at soccer is convinced that red dye number, whatever the fuck it is the reason her kid's a maniac. Like, how many fucking maraschino cherries is this kid eating? Stop it. Like, she won't let the kid eat Skittles because of red dye. Like, I think there's probably a socioeconomic problem here. Whatever, though.
Well, you've got the red dye and sugar and a lot of sugar,
Right.
so yeah.
In
You got
a broken
it's a lethal,
economy, a shitty education system. I mean,
right. Yes. And
here's my overarching point. No child is red dye 40 away from being good. There's many factors. It is literally the cherry on top that might make your kid a shithead. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God. Now, 2 quotes. This one. For true work is love made visible. What is this? How does this speak to you? What does this mean to you, I guess, is the question.
I think when you really dig what you do and you do it with love, people feel that, I mean, and if people that you're working with feel it and they're happy, it's sort of like happy chefs make better food, happy, happy compounders in our language make better products, and they fill bottles better and they pack boxes better. And because we're doing something and also, we're makers, we make everything, right? So that's we're makers, really, not marketers. So the love that we have for being able to make products for people who like our products, and that reciprocity is very, very much love in action.
I think it makes sense. And I think we can all wrap our head around that idea, because we know that great art often comes from people that love the thing that they do. And Michael certainly loved basketball. I think Tom Brady loves football. So if you do love the thing at the top, we're like, oh shit, yeah, you can make great stuff. But I think that it trickles down as well. No matter what it is, if you love it, you're going to do a better job, I think.
Yeah, and protect it and care about it and be proud of it and all the things. Very human.
It is a very human thing. And now your second quote too, you smushed another one in there, although it was a part of a larger poem. And I thought in isolation, it was tougher to wrap your head around. So I pulled the entire thing. You focused on the last, stay together, learn the flowers, go light. What does that mean to you?
Well, that's the honoring of the plant world. And, to me, nothing better than flowers, the way flowers smell. That's where essential oils come from. And that has deep meaning for me. I picture being in my grandma's backyard, watering tomatoes when the fireflies are out, and the smell of all of those things, it's really the thing about, anyway. So I think I can feel that and feel my way into that as like a reality and a way to be,
Beautiful.
kind of flexible and present and with lots of love, really. There's a lot of love in that too.
Oh, it's nice. I don't want to dumb this down, but you brought it up. Garden tomatoes. What did we do? Because a garden tomato tastes nothing like a grocery store tomato. It's 1,000 times better. What happened to, it's mass production and hot houses and just shitty everything? But oh my God,
and
my grandfather
shipping.
too had a garden. Oh,
yeah.
Yes, my grandfather had a garden, eating a tomato in that garden. Like, it's unbelievable. What happened?
Nothing like it.
Right? No, there is nothing like it. I guess I should start a garden so my my kids have fonder memories of me instead of passing out drunk on the couch after a bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm going to start cultivating this for my children. Now that we've done the 5 questions of doom, would you like to talk about EO products? This is where we get to do a little business talk. You want to give a little
give the spiel?
Give the spiel, yes.
Yes. Since 1995,
that's good.
When we started EO stands for essential oils. We make essential oil based bath and body care products. And we've been doing it since our 30th anniversary is next year. Wow. And also we started a brand called Everyone, which is also essential oil based, in 2012. So EO Products makes 2 brands, everyone and EO. We sell to all the natural food stores in the country and Canada, and you can find us there.
Beautiful. And this is California based. Of course it is, because it's high quality. Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Just like Strauss ice cream. One more before we go. How do poets say hello? Answer. I think I have to block you for further shows after that. No, listen, normally you're on fire. Don't get me wrong. You've had a lot of great stuff over the years. Woo! Haven't we metaphor? Well, listen, was it, what'd you think? Was this a good time? The 5 questions of doom?
You know, it was a great time. Really great time. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate waking up on Monday morning, and this is like the first thing to do. Come on.
This is a good way to wake up, right? All right, so do me a favor. I'm going to log off the live, but stay in the green room for a couple minutes. One more thing. So support your company. Also, your son is out on tour. If anybody's out in the United States, in the middle of the country right now. Yep. Marky Basie. And your niece as well, the Army, the Navy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at this. Oh, I'm plugging everything. All right, I'll be back tomorrow, America. Till then, have a lovely Monday evening. Go have some Strauss ice cream.